Hi, my name is Marlon Dahl, and this was Bachelor on a Budget, but as of a couple weeks ago, I am no longer a bachelor. That's right, I got married. But today we are making vegan breakfast burritos. These are gonna be pretty easy to make, and we're gonna make lots so that you can meal prep them and stick them in the freezer. It's gonna be high protein, but lots of nutrients with lots of great vegetables, and they're gonna be quite delicious and really cheap to make. So this is gonna be a plant-based recipe, as all of them going forward are, so hope you dig it. Okay, so first we are gonna prep the ingredients, and what ingredients are we using? So we got some onion, medium onion. I got, this will work out to about 1.5 cups of sweet potato, yam. We got some mushrooms, that'll work about to 1.5 cups of mushrooms. We're gonna use 3 cloves of garlic, some jalapeno. We have some, what's this thing called? A zucchini. We got some extra firm tofu. So it's gonna be kind of like a tofu scramble in there, and some black beans. We also got some spices. So we got some cumin, chili powder, turmeric, and nutritional yeast, and of course some salt and pepper. Some vegan cheese, not my favorite brand, but all I could get in the grocery store. And some tortillas. Okay, let's chop our onion. Okay, next we'll get our mushrooms. Just cut off the ends there. Okay, I obviously got a lot more than a cup here. I'm really bad at estimating, but don't worry if you have a little bit extra, a little bit less, or you're missing one ingredient, it's still gonna taste delicious. Okay, let's prep our tofu. So this one doesn't have a lot of water in it, but you still always wanna drain it. And you wanna get as much of the water out as you can. So I'm gonna use a paper towel for that. By getting out all the water, that allows you to have a lot more flavor added to it. It's just able to soak up a lot more delicious flavor goodness. And if it breaks apart, that's totally fine because we are going to crumble it. And we'll prep our sweet potato or yam, whatever you want to call it. This is actually sweet potato, but sometimes it's marketed as a yam. We're just chopping these up into relatively small pieces. Okay, we're gonna use an induction burner here. I got my nice gas stove behind me, but this is easier to present to you guys. So, I got my pan on here on a medium high, and I am going to add some oil. I got these little plastic bottles that I just add my oil into. It just makes it easy to squeeze. And we have a lot of ingredients, so don't be surprised by the amount of oil. I got maybe 3-4 tablespoons, but we're making a lot of portions here. You can totally use less if you want to. You might have to add a bit of water too, just to keep things moist. You don't want your potatoes to dry out. So first thing I'm gonna add is the onions. After the onions have started to brown, then we're gonna add in our sweet potatoes, as these will take the longest. Now what you can do is add a couple tablespoons of water just so these sweet potatoes steam a bit, as they're pretty dense. And while that's cooking, that's gonna take about 10 minutes just to get those potatoes a bit softer. We're gonna prep the rest of our ingredients. I'm gonna use about half of this zucchini. And zucchini is a totally optional ingredient. But we are packing this with vegetables, that's why we are adding it. Let's get our garlic and jalapeno. Also optional, depends on if you want it spicy or not. Okay, now let's get our mushrooms in there. Those are gonna release lots of juices, so that will also loosen up some of the stuff in the pan as well. And because we're adding so much ingredients in a pretty small pan, or medium-sized pan, it's gonna steam it a bit, so you wanna make sure you have it on a pretty high heat, just high enough that it's browning it but not burning. Okay, let's get the jalapeno in there. and the garlic. Okay, let's get our zucchini in there. And I am going to crumble this tofu, which it's already pretty easy to crumble once it's dry. Let's get our spices in there. So I got some chili powder, maybe a teaspoon and a half. I'm not doing much measuring. I can always adjust after. I'm gonna put about a teaspoon of turmeric in there. Do about half tablespoon or about 3 teaspoons of salt. But do that to taste. You can always add more. And nutritional yeast. So I got about a half cup of here. So lots of nutritional yeast. I buy it in bulk by like the kilogram on Amazon, but I love this stuff. If you haven't heard, it's like vegan crack. It's amazing, so you should definitely get it. It's got like a nutty cheese flavor. And it will also help a bit with the browning too. Okay, let's get in our tofu here. We're also gonna add about a teaspoon of cumin here. Right now, this smells so delicious. I'm gonna add the rest of that nutritional yeast. I know we got a lot of ingredients in there, but I'm gonna add a bit of kale. It's a great way to get your extra nutrients. Kale are just so dense with so many vitamins. We are gonna rinse our beans here. Some nice black beans. Now we gotta give this a taste. See if we need to add anything more. Spices, definitely not any more ingredients. That's pretty damn delicious, but it does need some more salt to bring out some of those flavors. Like I said, you do it to taste, you add a bit, you can't take it away. And this here is done, so we can set that aside. Okay, now we are going to wrap. So I got these whole grain or ancient grain wraps. I'm just gonna microwave these for about 10 seconds. You can also heat them up in the stove, but my stove is not on, so don't wanna bother with that. Okay, now they're a bit more malleable, so it'll just allow us to wrap. And these are 10-inch. If you find bigger, great. Okay, you can wrap these up with aluminum foil, but I realized I didn't have any, so we are gonna use some plastic saran wrap. So we're just gonna get a burrito and add a bit of our mixture. Add a bit of cheese and some optional salsa. And then we are going to wrap. My least favorite part. Do not observe my wrapping job. Also, whole wheat wraps are a lot harder to wrap. But voila. And look at that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these bad boys. You can freeze these and then put it in the microwave for 2 to 3 minutes, or you can put it on a pan for a couple minutes, let it fry. Just gonna add a bit of oil to the pan and gently set that down there. Hey, we can give that a rotation and see we got some nice browning going on. Okay, that should be good. Let's take that. That is hot. Well, voila. Let's give this a taste. That's pretty damn delicious. And nutritious. I got some salsa here too. I'm a sauce boss, so adding a bit makes it even more delicious, or some guac. But that is a very fueling meal. If you have any questions about this recipe, leave them down below. I'll try and get back to you. Or maybe the community around. Or if you have any suggestions, leave them down below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. I got a ton of more recipes that you should check out. Make lots of healthy, delicious meals on a budget. And most of them are plant-based on the channel. All of them will be plant-based continuing. I've transitioned over the last few years. But if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And we will see you for the next video. Bye now.